Hi, I'm Andrea Clem, and you are watching Turn to the Stars. And today is April 1st, 2015, and it is April Fool's Day, but it is also the beginning, or, we're right in the midst cosmically of a very, very active time. And today on the show, I'm going to be talking about the total lunar eclipse in Libra that is coming at the end of this week, early Saturday morning, April 4th. If you get up here, if you get up early in the morning before the sun rises, you should be able to see a piece of this total lunar eclipse. In North America, it is able to be seen. So if anything, even if you just see a little bit of it and you get to see the sunrise, how exciting that is, and spend some time having breakfast with some people that are special to you. Libra is the sign of relationships, and so for this total lunar eclipse, forward movement type of in energy, it's going to be really interesting to see how this all unfolds for us. And we're really getting a glimpse of what's behind us right now, and we're also getting a really special, exciting feeling that there is a new path that is coming. So I want to just kind of retrace just a little bit. A couple weeks ago, we had on March 20th, we experienced a total solar eclipse, which was also a supermoon, and it has really been an emotionally rocky road for all, because that solar eclipse was at 29 degrees in the constellation of Pisces, and I have a chart of that I want to show you on the screen. And there it is. You saw this on the last show I did, and the solar eclipse, as I said before, was in the constellation of Pisces. You can see it highlighted in the bottom of the chart there, the 29-degree Pisces, new moon, supermoon, total solar eclipse. And it indicated and it carried a meaning of a critical time in our evolution and boundaries on all fronts. Really, that's what this eclipse carried, a major theme of boundaries. And all the water signs of the zodiac are really feeling the effects of this, meaning if you have in your birth chart planets in the constellation of Pisces, if you're a Pisces, if you have planets in the constellation of Scorpio or in the constellation of Cancer, the water signs, the sensitive signs, the feeling signs, you would have really felt the emotional influence of this energy. It just carried such a depth and width and height of emotion, and you could really feel the intensity of that was attached. And so it would be imperative that you pay attention to and find a way to positively manage experiences that you're having, allowing yourself time to process these experiences. And I have a picture. Let's see for a second here. No, we already looked at the solar eclipse, but I'm going to just, talk about that chart shows that really that this is a time of, or a period of finishing up some old things in our lives. And I would like you to sort of reflect for a minute back to the year of 1996 and the experiences that you had. And because presently, the reason for this is that presently, somehow, those, very similar type of experiences are showing up, but in a very different way. But it holds an air of similarity to that time in your life. And I pointed out on that show that Saturn, during this last eclipse on March 20th, Saturn was in the same exact place in the constellation of Sagittarius as it was back in, as the planet Pluto was back in 1996. And it's interesting, Saturn beckons us to take responsibility and work with what we know to be the truth and contemplate it, exercise it, work it. Whereas back in 1996, Pluto's effect was to rip away the surface so that we could start anew. And it could have been, depending on what was going on in your chart, an incredibly transitional time in your life. So, as I said before, Saturn's influence is a little different, actually a lot different than Pluto. And so all the things that I just said, we saw that on that solar eclipse chart. Contemplate. Take some time to really focus on the reality of what it is that you know, what you believe in, what you understand, and use discretion and bringing that wisdom from the past forward. And what's happening currently is that we're moving toward a total lunar eclipse that's occurring this Saturday, early morning, April 4th, 2015. This is the day before Easter. And it does hold a really important meaning. Worldwide, you may have seen this on TV or on YouTube, that this is the third blood moon occurring in a tetrad of total lunar eclipses. And I have a chart showing a picture of the 4 blood moons that is in the dates of those 4 blood moons. If you could put that up there, the 4 blood moons, there it is. You can see this all began last year with the first and the second eclipses of the year, and there was the dates you're seeing on the screen are actually total lunar eclipses, and the one right in the middle is a solar eclipse, which is the one we just had on March 20th, and the total lunar eclipse coming on Saturday morning on April 4th of 2015 is the third of the total lunar eclipses. And you can see that these are coinciding with some very religious dates. And you can see by this picture that the moon is set to turn a sinister-looking blood red color. And this is due to the area known as the umbra in this process, where the light from the sun is blocked by our planet. The light refracts differently in the atmosphere as it hits the moon, and it makes it appear red. This gives the appearance of what we call, a blood red total eclipse. When the entire moon is in shadow, the dustier our atmosphere is, the redder the color. This blood moon will be visible in the skies of North America, Asia, Australia. It's, as I said before, the third blood moon in the tetrad that will end in September of 2015 this year, with that 4th total lunar eclipse. You saw the date there, September, and that 4th one occurs on September 27th of this year. And it's interesting because in the Bible, the red moons are predicted to signify important events. And so they are coinciding. I talked about this on a past show with some Jewish holidays. And so this total lunar eclipse is in the constellation of Libra. So let's talk about that. In the constellation of Libra at 14 degrees and 14 degrees and 26 minutes. And so I have a picture of that chart, the total lunar eclipse. There it is. This is a really phenomenal chart. Extremely phenomenal. You can see on the bottom area where I have it blued, shaded blue, that's the total lunar eclipse in the constellation of Libra. And you can also see what looks like a rectangle in the middle of the chart formed by the aspects or the angles of connection between the planets. And what you're seeing there is a universal mystic rectangle, and I call it a showcase of angel wings. And this is generally considered to be a mild aspect pattern and generally does not generate a lot of discomfort, resistance. It is or does it require convoluted actions in order to gain productivity? However, a mystic rectangle does gain considerable benefit from the planetary configurations, stimulating balance and structure. And there was something that I wrote down this morning that I wanted to share with you. And it is based upon what we're seeing with this lunar eclipse. And what I wrote is, it is imperative now that you work the innate power of I have the inner strength to reconstruct new experiences and relating because of what I've experienced in the past. Past experiences are very powerful for instilling a more fruitful, peaceful future. And this mystic rectangle really does give us a really beautiful picture of an incredible this unfolding of really incredible energy that is around us here on Earth, that is configured by the planets in our solar system. And so there's a high degree of synchronization between the 4 planets that we saw in that mystic rectangle, or as I call it, wing spread of angelic beings that is being triggered. We've got 4 parts to that chart, and as I look at that chart, you know, the lunar eclipse, there it is. On the bottom right, you can see the moon, the crescent shape with the north node pointing the direction toward fulfillment, which is an expression and being recognized and noticed, and that it reminds us that relationships are very special at this time. And if we go over to the left side, there's a line that connects to the left to Jupiter in Leo. We can see that this is another part of this mystic rectangle, Leo energy. And if we follow that blue line right to the top where there's this whole stellium or collection of planets in the constellation of Aries, Aries is I am. This is who I am. I'm always learning about myself. There's many things from the past that I carry forward. And then if you follow that line over to the right, that completely forms that mystic rectangle and angelic unfolding of an angel wings, we see that it connects with the midheaven of this chart, which is Aquarius, which is about everybody sticking together and sharing knowledge that is helpful to each other. So that is sort of a brief overview of what you're seeing there. One of the interesting things is that, comes with this mystic rectangle is an understanding and an acknowledgement that balance is typically what's brought forward. And it's really interesting because a person must consciously react with awareness and mindfulness of where they're at in their lives, meaning that they want to, people are always, have a tendency to focus on one area instead of going with the flow or the natural flow of things. And if you place too much attention on any one of those 4 areas of that mystic rectangle, it can throw you really out of balance. I mean, this is something universally that everyone is being affected by. So go with the flow. That's my message with that energy. Emotionally, go with the flow. Don't try to control things or spend too much time concentrating on one area or one thing. The power that mystic rectangle holds requires practice in order to gain the most benefit from it. And it's interesting, the masculine Aries Leo reception part of the mystic rectangle is expressed through an extrovert nature by individuals during this time. And this particular one occurring with this, with this mystic rectangle that's occurring with the lunar eclipse, it suggests that we are being helped to balance our masculine and our feminine sides, bringing equality to all of life. And that is what it's like, a strong picture of, that we've got this parachute, that we've got this support, we've got what we need. within our lives. And so it suggests that we should connect with it, open ourselves up to receive that. And it's interesting because problems can arise with the two oppositions. You saw the lines that connected that mystic rectangle. It can really cause us to bounce out of control with opposition. So really important that we just stay grounded, do whatever we can to stay in balance. And that means, communication, that means exercise, that means, if you like to draw, if you like to paint, if you like to talk, whatever it is that helps keep you or steers you on that path or toward that bridge of balance. Very important that you acknowledge it. The sextiles and the trines that we see that are part of the makeup of that mystic rectangle must be used to unify and support the polarities. So another danger for us, there is some danger in that we should talk about universally with this pattern. If we are to be aware of our of being too self-contained or something of that nature, it can be overpowering, this energy. But what's really important for us to know is that we're being helped to learn how to harness the energy of balance. That is what one of the messages is by this configuration. And we're being help to understand the masculine side of us, the feminine side of us, which every one of us have. Some people have a great balance with it, others don't. But once you learn how to harness this, your decisions and your choices in life become much easier, and you're able to initiate and participate in more peaceful experiences. And it's interesting, the degree 14 degrees Libra in 26 minutes paints an energetic picture in how we relate to each other. That is what Libra is about. And one of the other things that I thought about as I was preparing for today's show this morning is this symbol of, I'm sure many people you're familiar with the symbol of gratitude. And I have a picture of that to show you. And it is this picture of gratitude. And this is actually it is also called the nautilus shape, like the nautilus seashell, but it is also the symbol of gratitude. And so this lunar eclipse really carries this energy in a very bright, brilliant way. Just like this picture. This picture is a picture of I think it's from a church. And it's all stained glass created, and right at the center of it we can see this beautiful light. And so it's kind of a reminder that at the center of all of us, at the center of our creativity, is this brilliant light of creation. And as our life unfolds, it brightly, beautifully spirals out, and there's these steps involved. So I thought that was a beautiful picture. And what it does is, this lunar eclipse, it reminds us to be grateful for all the wonderful relating experiences that we've had, because they carry the inner power for resolve. That is what that picture really, in my mind, expresses, which is the energy that is connected to this total lunar eclipse on Saturday. And the thing that Libra does, it seeks peace. This energy, it seeks harmony, it seeks balance, it seeks justice, it seeks the beauty that comes from relating and forming and connecting with others who are in our lives. And it tells us that it's a potent time that is showing us a new direction, which leads us toward fulfilling the avenues of our life, which are important as far as keeping ourselves open to new ideas, because Libra is an air sign. New ideas which come from others, which come from us, and we give to others. And so it suggests this Libra energy, that this new path is one that should be of peace, a new path of relating, a new path of communication, heading us toward peaceful interactions, fulfilling relationships, avenues that fulfill relationships. And so, there are, I looked at that picture when, that picture I showed you earlier of gratitude, or of the stained glass windows that creates that symbol of gratitude, or of the Nautilus. And I saw those panels as steps that start from the heart, creation which filters out to others as it grows in beauty, light with interactive creation. So what this eclipse, another message that is held with this eclipse, is that it inspires questions such as, and you might really want to concentrate and think about this, are the same thoughts coming up again and again in your life? Do you feel like you've been in this situation before that you are in presently in your life? Are you wandering around in circles or walking what appears to be like a labyrinth or a maze? And so, there's many ways to look at this. And so this eclipse holds the energy which is symbolic and may bring up issues to do with ever repeating cycles of activity that often lead us around in circles or back to where we began. Circular paths lead us around and around, and there may be a feeling of being back where you started, but please remember the experience and learning you have gained on your journey to where you are now. It's so important. We need to be grateful for the experiences that we have had, because they carry wisdom that will help us to succeed on a path of peace. The realization of this cosmic rhythm and cycle is very present with this lunar eclipse. This eclipse brings a reminder that we have returned to what seems to be where we started 19 years ago, but it's different. It reminds us that we will have new experiences, and the skills of relating we have learned will carry us forward on a more fulfilling path. However, if you're not getting anywhere, it can be because of perhaps addictive behavioral patterns that continually lead you back to the same result. You feel like you're going round and around and around, the secure path that leads to nowhere. You could think of that like a crop circle. It's interesting because we've seen this exact symbol in the crops. So the wheels of progress, anything that makes circles, circular machinery, repetition, a merry-go-round, cosmic rhythms, labyrinths, mazes. These are all things that are very similar energetically, and this is what this eclipse is bringing up. So the caution this eclipse carries is a reminder to not get lost in small details, to not get stuck and on your path. Remember, it's time to move ahead. Reflect and do this mediation, do this balancing act. Take your time to maybe slow down and talk to someone about what your decision could be or might be, and that would be helpful. This eclipse holds a reminder that it can be scenarios and episodes that repeat themselves. A reminder of addictive cycles that are hard to get rid of, a treadmill. This eclipse holds a message that it is time to get off that treadmill and go in a new direction that leads us to a more balanced place, a more peaceful place, and creating new experiences on that path. So, before we, I know we're getting very close to the end of today's show, and I wanted to just talk about another powerful energy that we've got coming up on. Jupiter is waking up from its long retrograde motion, which began back on December 8th in that constellation of Leo. And what it meant while we were in the retrograde is that we were identifying, what we were doing was identifying limiting beliefs about our ability to create and receive recognition for our special talents. And it's interesting because back in July of 2014, when Jupiter first moved into the constellation of Leo, I intuitively heard that the protectors of the Holy Grail are being awakened. And I realized what this meant. And what it meant was that we must pay attention to what we create. Our children, what our heart desires, anything we personally put our own special stamp on. And with Jupiter waking up on April 8th, in that constellation of Leo, it is signifying that it's a time to move ahead on all that we've been creating. We've been contemplating it inwardly since December. It's now time to embrace it and move ahead. And, it is truly outwardly going to be a time of true realization of how special it is to carry what we each individually carry in our hearts, which is that divine special light of creation. We all have it. And so I want to say a great big thank you to everyone watching Turn to the Stars, and wish you all a really happy Easter and total lunar eclipse. I hope it marks new beginnings and relationships in your life, or helps you to balance out ones that maybe just need a little bit of TLC in order to move forward. So thanks for watching Turn to the Stars, and I want to remind you, turn to the stars and you will find your answers there. Until next week, take good care. I'll see you then.